Good morning, Oliver. How are we doing?
Hi, Christian. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Thanks for your time today. I'm looking forward to this discussion with you. And just for the purpose of everyone watching, the discussion for today is essential marketing for personal trainers. And what we're going to do is go through some of the fundamentals, the foundations of what that looks like, what it involves. And we'll explore it in a little bit more detail as well. And then we'll give you some follow-up action links at the end if you want to look into things in more detail. So just so everyone knows who you are and gets a feel for what we're going to do today, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you've been doing the last few years, what you do to help people and the type of people you help?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, firstly, thank you for inviting me on today. Looking forward to kind of exploring different avenues and hopefully offering some helpful tips in marketing and personal training. My name's Ollie and I co-own a marketing agency. We are based sort of in Cambridge, just outside of, and yeah, we work with a range of different clients, from sort of PR agencies to literally kind of there's a lot of different clients that we work with, but our main focus is that we offer a very sort of partnered approach, almost like an in-house marketing team for the company. And our main thing is that we just want to help. We're really passionate about marketing, and I think kind of cutting through some of the noise as well, because I think it's a noisy world out there, and our approach is to learn as much as possible about the business and become an arm that can be relied upon. And I think just kind of offering a sort of data-driven approach as well, so that we're helping companies sort of thrive in the 21st century, really, in this digital age and era.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's something that personal trainers and just fitness professionals in general really struggle with because they don't quite get it right.
Yeah.
So what do you think are the key points to take away? Or not to take away, but what are the key points to start with that a personal trainer may need to think about when it comes to their own marketing?
Yeah, sure. So I think in terms of the first part is building the foundations right. Is who's your audience? I think having almost a niche sometimes can really help that. So I think in terms of personal training, it's a broad audience out there. You've got people who wanting to do it for a whole host of different reasons. And I think learning who your audience is and then how you're going to appeal to them is always a great place to start. I think it just really helps with that, the foundations of your business then. And then I think to set clear objectives as to where you want your business and your marketing to kind of go. Do you want it to be, sort of really vibrant, really kind of, focused at people, younger people maybe wanting to get really fit in great shape, or are you wanting it to focus more in the middle-aged demographic? And I think the thing is with those different audiences is that with marketing, each channel is going to be very different on how you approach those audiences. So I think just kind of at the start of your career as a personal trainer, or even if you're into your career as a personal trainer, kind of thinking about your audience and how you're going to attract the one you want, and then put some clear goals and objectives in there, is a good place to start. I think, just sort of the foundations.
Okay, awesome. So you talked about leading into finding your ideal clients there and knowing who you're working with. So I find with a lot of personal trainers, they often train anyone and everyone, which is okay for the first 6 months, a year, when you're trying to find your feet, figure out who your client base is, what you're strong at, etc., etc. But if they keep doing that for years and years, it's not very productive. So how can marketing help when it comes to really niching down on a particular demographic or a particular type of person?
I think what marketing can do is it can almost act as a sort of a sift and a funnel. So it can help. You can draw leads in, and then through your marketing channels and through your approach, it can then sift out any ones that you kind of maybe don't want, and I think that the way you're then perceived by the audience is then they're going to know a little bit more about, okay, so this person offers this approach, and actually that's not the approach I want. So it's almost like it kind of marketing can allow a business to just sort of sift out, I guess, any potential customers that they don't want to be attracting, or that maybe they want to be attracting later on down the line, and something they can keep warm. But yes, I think that's the main thing. It really does help you funnel the right leads to your business and to your needs and wants, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that was pre-asked when I told some of the guys that were doing this talk was, what's the difference between advertising and marketing? Because there's a distinction there that I don't think everyone quite gets, and it'd be good to have yourself run through what that is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really, advertising is just an arm of marketing. Marketing is kind of the overarching, and then advertising fits underneath, or as an extension of. So really, the main difference is that advertising is primarily paid for. So from probably 30 years ago, advertising was the billboards. Anything sort of print wise that was that was paid for was advertising. And nowadays, advertising is really let forward, and now we've got social media advertising, Google advertising, it's sort of paid for basically online advertising. And the main difference, I guess, is that you're paying for your advert to be promoted, and you're showcasing be it an image with an offering that you've got, which will then lead a lead to your website, and then that will then funnel through, go into a contact form, and then hopefully come through to you as a warm lead. So I think really it's, like I say, it's advertising is an underarching, or is another sort of segment of marketing. But the main difference is that you're getting out in front of people, as many people as possible, and that usually comes at some sort of cost.
Yeah, and like you said about the billboards there, and some of the more blanket types of advertising, they can cost quite a lot, can't they? Up into the thousands per month.
Yeah, I mean, advertising now is is crazily expensive. You can I mean, nowadays big companies will often have a team of 10 who will just be solely focused on their Google advertising. That'll be it. That sole function, because they're just pitching, trying to win that top spot for Google search. And I think that's not to say that you have to have a huge budget to advertise. You have to have some budget there to do it, but you can be clever with it, and you can use the right channel for yourself. I think it goes back to that audience where you've got to really think about who your audience is and how would they then find you. Are they likely to go on Google search, in which case you might think, okay, you could put them out into Google paid advertising, or is it actually they're going to probably find me on social media or different ways, and then you can focus your budget on where you think your audience will be coming from.
Yeah, and you said something about search engines, and that falls into or feeds into search engine optimization. And for those of you who don't know, search engine optimization is essentially how easy it is for the likes of Google and Bing and Yahoo to find keywords with your business, and that bumps your website up to the top of the search engine if you're good. So how important do you think that is for someone who's a one-man band personal trainer, for instance? Do you think that that's something worth investing in, because it can be quite expensive as well? or do you think there's better ways that they can focus on before they get to that?
I think that I think I do think it's very important in this day and age. I think that I think that even a one-man band, I think having a website presence, and I think whenever we say website, then worry, it's got to be at the top of the ranks. It doesn't necessarily. It's there, and it's there to showcase, and it's there to build trust. I think, and a lot of marketing is around trust and the perception and the emotion that you feel around a brand. So I mean, I think it's like 50%, 56% of small businesses don't have a website, and then there's something like 60% wouldn't trust a company, or even this. And when I say company, this can mean a sole trader, one person who doesn't have a website. And so I think it's again, it's this, and what I'd say to anyone sort of starting out on in their own business is that it's getting those fundamentals right and not worrying too much about sprinting. So you don't need to be at the top of Google instantly, but what you do need is that presence so that someone can find you on Google and they can check out, what your approach is. And I think if you don't do that, I think you're sort of, you're really potentially like missing a trick. And I think some very cost-effective ways to do websites and to climb the ranks on SEO as well. Actually, you've got the likes of Wix, Squarespace, WordPress. WordPress is, you can build templates on those, and each and every one of those, you can go on there, find a template that you like, create your content, and a lot of them now they'll almost sort of talk you through how to optimize them. But even a few quick tips on that is that just sort of really think that what Google likes is a website that is going to help them. Ultimately Google is a business, and if you go, the more you use Google, the more the better for them. The more advertising they're going to get, the more leads they're going to get. So that it's better for them. And what they like from a website is a website that is going to answer the searcher's question. So if someone's going on and saying, I want a personal training in Cambridge, your website offers everything that they're possibly wanting. Google's going to like you, and it's going to start bumping up the pages quicker than you think.
Yeah, it's a good point. And I know from my experience, websites can be cheap if you do them yourself, but they're very time consuming and there's a lot of trial and error. But it's sometimes just worth investing in someone doing it for you who's got the experience and template to do it. Now, I used my website mainly for trust and credibility, as you said. It was nowhere near the top of personal training anywhere. However, it was very linked into the rest of my stuff through my own network and through any blogs that I've written, anything that had pushed out, so that it was still getting quite a lot of traffic without being anywhere near the top. And that worked quite well, not because it was being used for inbound sales, but because if someone Googled me or if someone wanted to check it out, it was all there, and there was a lot of social proof coming with that. And it's interesting you say about Google, and Google's kind of almost taken over the internet in the last 10 years. And this is something to bear in mind for a lot of people who may not even be in personal training, but just generally just watching this. Having a personal brand, I believe, helps a lot when it comes to having a business as well. And your personal brand or your website is almost like your portfolio, right? So you've got all the things you do on there, what you're about, and so on. And it's not necessarily going to, again, get you loads and loads of inbound sales like a business or a more traditional business might, but it still helps. And one of the biggest things that personal trainers will struggle with, especially in the first couple of years, is that if someone types their name in on Google, nothing's going to come up. And that can be very detrimental from experience as to whether, especially higher end clients, will take you seriously. What are your thoughts?
Completely agree. Yeah, I think, completely agree. I think, I think kind of not jumping on a website, on marketing, and at least attempting some effort with SEO and Google is kind of at the business peril, really. And I think, I think as I mentioned in those stats too, I think actually a lot of, from what I've seen of Google and from what I'm searching and stuff, is that, I think a lot of personal trainers will focus very heavily on potentially their Instagram profile and short videos and that sort of thing. And don't get me wrong, that's brilliant, that's great. But as you said, with higher end clients, they might not be on Instagram, or they're just not going to be bothered about the amount of noise that's on there. So actually, I almost think there's a gap in the market there to kind of, if you are a one-man band, there's no harm in thinking, not treating it like a bigger business. Get the website, have some presence there, because like you said on your website, it builds that trust, it builds that credibility. People can check you out. It's just the amount of people that do not trust a business that don't have a website. You're almost instantly halving your market instantly. And I think, like I say, it's at the peril of kind of a new starter, that they don't just adopt a multi-channel approach rather than just focusing on one and getting their Instagram right. You need to be focusing on all of those.
Yeah, and Instagram's an interesting one. This is just my personal stance, but I find Instagram is good for checking out who someone is, see if they're credible. It allows you to see their posting style, a little bit of how they communicate, what their philosophy is about training, cooking, hairdressing, whatever it is, right? But it's all snapshots, and a lot of it is done for show, which is fine. But Instagram alone, for me, isn't enough for the personal trainer in this day and age in terms of marketing to generate business. And I find that a lot of people will throw hundreds or thousands of pounds at Instagram and not get a lot back, because if there's a lot of robots on there, the algorithms are constantly changing. But mainly, they don't really have a consistent content theme either. So it's almost like posting for the sake of posting.
Yeah.
And how do you think personal trainers could maybe use Instagram a little bit more effectively?
Like you're saying there, I completely agree with you saying that. I think Instagram is a very, very noisy platform, and I think people post for the sake of it, and I think people will try and guess algorithms, and they'll try and guess the ways to get to the top of people's feed. And these algorithms they're changing daily there. So I think my advice on Instagram and social media as a general is be authentic. Just be yourself. Get your personality across, because again, it's another platform that is going to build trust, and people are going to check you out, see what you're saying, and I think offer value on that. And again, it goes back to your audience as well. Really think about the audience that you're attracting to. But I just think being as authentic as possible, and not trying to. I think there's a lot of imitation out there nowadays, and I think a lot of what you see is it kind of blurs into one. But the ones that don't are the ones that are really authentic, and I think and the ones as well that are getting the personality across. And I think again, as a personal trainer, you can utilize that to help you attract the leads that you want from that. So if you're wanting, I don't know, someone who's a bit older, they're trying to get fit, and they're worried that they're getting older, and they're a bit cautious about having a personal trainer, they've never had one before. It could be a nice opportunity to sort of offer some nice top tips and ease people into, because I think it can be almost an intimidating process, and I think it gives people that comfort sometimes that they know they know a little bit about what to expect. People just don't like the unexpected, and I think I think too, like with Instagram, is that it's your business. You're always on, you're on air type thing, and I think it's good to remember that. So keeping it really professional, keeping it slick, and like I say, be authentic, but just always with the focus of your audience in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the key word you said was authentic, and authentic sells because it gives people insight into who we are. Whereas I find that a lot of social media, Instagram more so, there's a lot of posturing on there. There's a lot of look what I can do, look what I've done, and things that maybe don't attract as much of a following as people might think, or things like over posting exercises,
Yeah,
because it should really be about what we can do for other people as opposed to too many selfies of ourselves doing the same things, cookie clutter stuff that everyone else is doing, because it just clogs up the entire platform. And hashtags, I think, can be often misused. I mean, I'm not an expert in it, but I can see that sometimes people are just guessing as to what to use. I mean, is there any real strategy behind hashtags? You'll know far better than I will.
I think, I think hashtags, like I say, just one of those ones that I think people just throw them in there. The amount you see, if you watch some of them closely, you're just looking at some of them closely and thinking, you've probably got those from one of those, one of the websites that help you, you copy and paste the sort of a fitness hashtag. But think about a personal hashtag. Why not have your own personal hashtag and just use it and use it and use it and use it? And I think people think more hashtags the better, but especially in the fitness industry, I mean, the more you use, like, it's such a busy environment, it's such a noisy one that you're better off building your own personal hashtag and using a few that just really are really selling what are really sort of communicating what you are selling. So I think that's the best bet with hashtags, is create a personal one and don't try and use too many to think that you're gonna get bumped up, because it just that just won't help, and it won't work. So yes, I think hashtags are really important, but I think just keeping it slow, steady, and as I said throughout, it's just those foundations. And again, same goes for sort of hashtags. Just have some core ones that you use, and then have some additional ones that really show what you use. And look at you can have a look, and you can search the hashtag, how many people are using that hashtag, so you can then see if you're using fitness, I mean, you're going to be going up against millions of people using that hashtag. So the likelihood is that it's not going to get you any closer to, unless you already have a huge following, it's not going to get you any close to what you probably want.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. So I think sometimes people go, oh, the more people are using that hashtag, the better, not realizing that that's more people that they're up against.
Yeah. And again, it goes back to the audience in that it might be that sometimes we worry about these things, and the hashtag thing is that it might just get you in front of more people doing what you're doing. So I think it's it's a bit like sometimes like with LinkedIn, which I actually think for a personal trainer is a useful tool if you're going down a corporate route or something. But it's often salespeople selling to salespeople and stuff. So it's all about just thinking about your audience and how you're going to attract and how you're going to cut through the other businesses and make sure you're noticed.
Yeah. And I find that a lot of personal trainers or new people to the industry won't necessarily know much about LinkedIn or know how to use it properly.
Yeah.
So there tends to be two main camps in LinkedIn. Is I use it when I'm looking for a job, and then once they got a job, they stop using it.
Yeah.
And the other one is you're on there all the time using it to build a presence, build your personal brand. Now, I think LinkedIn has evolved a lot more from go on there when you need a job, because you need to see what people are up to. You need to be creating some content yourself where people can see it on a regular basis to build a network. And it's not so much about I just add people who I know anymore. There's a lot more opportunity to meet people you'd never be able to meet on a professional level. And I just think that a lot of personal trainers shy away from it. But if you want to build your own personal presence with key people, I think you have to be using LinkedIn.
Yeah, completely agree. And I think again it goes back to the sort of website thing, in that you're almost tapping into a little bit of a market that is potentially not as tapped into. So I think that helps, and I think yeah, I agree. It just broadens your network, and I think it gives you a bit of a chance to sort of, you know, to suss out what the other person's like, what, you know, just it gives you a feeling of the people, and I think, you know, and I think as well, it's a great platform to add value. You know, I think, you know, I think, you know, I think you were saying with Instagram and stuff, it's not just all about posting loads of selfies and getting all of that across. And I think that's really true. I think, you know, social media can often be like one-upmanship. So it's just showing that, you know, someone's doing better than somebody else. And actually, I think the best posts you're going to get, especially running a business, is ones that are value adding. You know, you're giving people little tips. You know, even if it's LinkedIn, it could be a tip on, you know, what to do throughout the day to keep active, how to keep your steps going. You know, some stuff like that. People will be interested in that. So yeah, I think LinkedIn is a really key platform.
Yeah, but even for writing articles and posting videos, it's quite nice in the sense that you've got quite a large audience there. And it's something, going back to hashtags, that you don't have to use hashtags on there. Yeah. You can just use one or two and it works quite well.
Yeah.
So it's good. So just to touch upon briefly some of the other platforms, where can the likes of Facebook and even perhaps TikTok, one of the newer ones, how can they be used, if they can, for PTs looking to just build their presence?
Yeah, I think, I mean, my advice on all of it would be on all of them, you know, is you know, don't just focus on one, because I think they've all got their uses. You know, I think TikTok is massive now. I think, you know, I think I was reading yesterday how it's actually the video views on TikTok have overtaken the video views on YouTube, which, you know, it's just crazy when you think about that, when you think how long it's been around. Yeah, I think TikTok, yeah, I guess, you know, in terms of an audience is potentially, you know, you're going to be looking at a younger demographic, and yeah, I think, you know, it's all around music, and music is the hashtag almost. So, you know, I think it's potentially one of those ones to sort of just to think about your audience before you kind of dive straight into that one. But, you know, I think, you know, Facebook, yeah, is I think is sort of, people feel like it's potentially getting left out a bit nowadays, and it's maybe sort of losing some of its sort of, you know, its oomph, I guess. But again, you know, it's that's no reason to not, you know, there's still, you know, so many users worldwide on that you've still got a good audience. And again, sometimes with advertising on Facebook, if you're looking to do a little bit of advertising, like we touched on at the start, you know, Facebook can be a more affordable way to advertise. And, you know, I think, yeah, just getting the right posts out there, and it's, you know, it's a good opportunity to use imagery well. So yeah, I think my sort of feeling is like, you know, just to make sure that you are on all platforms, but, you know, kind of having a bit of a focus, and not just sort of, you know, not just throwing content out there for the sake of it, like you mentioned before, and not just, if you're on all of them, just post the same thing on each one of them. Again, just make it all different, you know, twitch it up, you know, mix it up and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's key as well. And the common thing that we get asked is, if we're doing Facebook, we're doing Instagram, we're doing TikTok, we're doing LinkedIn, we're doing YouTube, where the themes are very different, the amount of time and effort it actually takes to put a content plan can put a lot of people off. So how could they potentially get around that, and who can help them to piece something together? Because it is a very time consuming thing.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do all of that as well and let it fall on deaf ears if you don't know how to reach your audience. So how do we bridge that gap?
I mean, I guess I would say, you know, a good agency, you know, a good marketing agency can help that. Can certainly, you can leave it to the sort of, I suppose, experts. That's what a good agency is, that you can kind of say what you want to achieve. They can go away, they can create a social media plan, a marketing strategy, run that by you, and then they can then, that's something they can then implement for you. So, because it is time consuming, and I think, business nowadays, there's so many arms to it, you've got so many different elements to worry about, and then you've got the main focus of what your business is to be a personal trainer. So I think it could be worth looking at different agencies. Obviously we're always happy to help, and we're always happy to give advice too, even if people have got questions. So I think there could be a fear that sometimes with an agency as well, that it might be unaffordable, or I don't know, I'm not at a size where I could have an agency and they might be interested, but everything's always worth a phone call, it's always worth a discussion. And I think you'd always be surprised on the sort of the help that you can get. I think as well, if you're not at that stage as well, that's also cool. There are loads of platforms out there to kind of help. Like Hootsuite, TweetDeck, that sort of thing. You've got different sort of channels where you can you can schedule posts. So it could be a question. Sometimes what I think is often quite helpful is just to focus maybe like 3 hours, even if it's on like a Sunday afternoon or something. Focus 3 hours and focus on like 3 core posts potentially, and then just schedule them out so you don't have to worry about them. They're going out, and then you can do some sort of more, potentially some more kind of reactive posts throughout the week if you're feeling that. But I think using different platforms, like I said, with TweetDeck or Hootsuite, and then if you're wanting to create some nice designs, you've got platforms like Canva now, which are you can create Instagram, nice looking Instagram templates, that sort of thing. So they're all free. They're all free to use. So there's some good platforms there that you can use. So I think luckily with technology, there's a lot that can help you. But I think it's just potentially sometimes just allocating a little bit of time to think about it, and then schedule some out.
Yeah, Hootsuite, Buffer, those kind of things are a game changer when it comes to being time efficient.
Yeah.
So even if you sit there on a Sunday afternoon, I used to do it for 8-9 hours, put out content the entire year or 6 months, whatever it let you do.
Yeah.
And then I don't have to worry about it. But the good thing with it is, if you have a content theme of this is Monday's topic, this is Wednesdays, this is Fridays, it's almost like the platforms get used to what's coming as well. And it can help you in that sense. And people get used to it because it's like, oh, it's Motivational Mondays. Today he's going to post a quote on this. Whereas Wednesday is Wisdom Wednesdays, where it could be like, this is what we learn. This is lessons we've learned from being in this position in the past.
Yeah.
And then Friday, for example, might be an exercise.
Yeah.
And then you could have selfie Sundays if you really want them. Yeah. And I'm just using the alliteration here just because it is a little bit more effective, but it doesn't have to be that way. And what this can actually do is allow you to then post in between a bit more reactively, allow you to spend your time commenting on other people's work, building a bit more of engagement with your audience, because you're not worried about what you have to post next, just trying to keep up with everybody else.
Yeah. No, I think, for sure. No, I think, I think using that alliteration, having them scheduled, having that timing, so then people know, and they end up forward to those posts. They know on a Monday what they're going to get, and again, social media sites like that, they recognise that. So again, it's best of all worlds, really.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so tell us a bit more about your company. So you talked about agencies. How can you potentially help people watching this video?
So I mean, we work with a range of different clients, and and different sizes too, from huge, great big FTSE 100 companies right through to much smaller companies. So it's what we offer is that, again, is that like in partnership approach, and I think how we can help is that we can help sit down, create a plan, help draw out potentially aspects that maybe, you've not thought about. So, it's, we might say, okay, well, you thought about that, try that approach. I think ultimately our goal is always to tell your story as the business, and to promote your services, getting as much as what you want to get across to as many people as possible with minimal, hassle. We are very aware that time is always, it goes quicker and quicker, and people, especially if you're out there training 8 hours a day, you're getting back, the last thing you want to be necessarily then doing is your marketing. So we can take care of that with, if you're sending us pictures, we can send out posts, and keep it engaged and that sort of thing. So I think, we're always happy to help. We can offer ad hoc help. So, if you just want to do one campaign, we can help with that. We can do retainer-based help. So you go on a monthly retainer, and then we'd offer so much for those for that month. But yeah, I think I'm always, our main goal is to help our clients. We've always gone the element that the more they grow, the more we're going to grow with them. So, so I think, if you find the right agency for you and you utilize them, then they're going to be your best friend. They're going to be your best tool. They're going to be your tool to grow your business. All I'd say as well, if you're with one that isn't working for you and you feel like they're not doing enough for you, change, mix it up. As I said, with time, we're always time short. So there's, you don't want to waste any time. And I think, and I think, potentially sometimes you can look for ones that maybe have a focus on the fitness industry, that might help. But at the same time, marketing agencies are marketing agencies. They're there to tell your story. They're there to help get, your story across and help generate leads. I think, what we'll do as well is generate leads for you. So again, you've got that almost like a sales arm to it as well.
Yeah, and the key thing I find from agencies is you can do things like newsletters, you can create YouTube channels, you can improve your social media posts so everything's consistent. And you can also improve like your general public relations and image and the way that we're perceived on the internet in the real world. And just to put it in perspective for some of the audiences, that personal trainers in London often spending in excess of £1,000 a month on gym rent, whether they'll still have to go and speak to tens of people a day consistently just to build their business and maintain it. When if you're a bit more savvy with a strategy, someone like yourself or a team like yourselves can be taking a lot of that off people and letting them focus on the training side of things, and not spending their energy and time and resources on something that could have been delegated.
Absolutely.
And what I find with PTs is, because they're a one-man band, they think that, oh, this is just about me. I'm not a manager. I don't think about this. But the reality is anyone who runs a business, sole trader or not, has to think like a manager. Because if they don't, then you're just going to run into trouble straight away.
Yeah, no, very, very wise words. Definitely. I think, I think it's another thing off your tick list. And yeah, completely agree. I think, when I remember first starting the business, and it was actually an accountant, and it was sort of one of the first few meetings I'd ever had, and with a sort of a supply chain almost, and he said to me, "You're the director of a company now. That's a big responsibility, and you soon learn it, either for better or for worse." And I think if you're going into a business, you're going into it with the best intentions. Give yourself the best opportunity, and so arming yourself with the best people and help. You're going to need help. Is going to give you the best shot to be as successful as possible.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about sole traders because that's likely what the majority of people watching this will be. But how might it differ for someone who's a limited company or a private corporation where they've got a team to deal with, and they might be looking at this from a completely different perspective, even though the principles are still the same?
Yeah, I think I think I think the fundamentals and the foundations are always the same, I suppose. It might just be capacity slightly different, so that, you know, a sole trader, they might set an agency like ours an objective to get X amount of leads, or whereas a business is going to need a lot more leads, because that, you know, they're wanting to grow, they need to sustain their staff. So I think it's probably a bit of a numbers thing. I think that's where it probably slightly differs. I think, you know, I mean, I guess the ultimate goal is that selling, but, you know, I think as well, that's something that each side maybe want to ask themselves at the start, is that, you know, do you want to grow something that you're then going to have, you know, your own gym, your own personal trainers underneath you, or do you just want to, throughout your career, remain as one personal trainer, just, you know, sole trader, just doing it as that, and focusing on that and being the best you can be at that. So, you know, there's no right or wrong route. It's just working out which route you kind of want to take. And I think then with marketing, it's about, you know, it's about then showcasing that a bit better. So, you know, if they're a sole trader, it might be focusing on a more personalized, very sort of intimate, you know, one-to-one, you know, goal setting approach. Whereas if it's maybe more of a business, it might be more of a functionality. You're still getting that personalized approach, of course, you're never going to lose that, but like, it might be a little bit more of a, you know, bit more to fit around the other person. So, you know, they're kind of able to come in when they need, and fit in that fast-paced lifestyle or something. So I think it's that's where it might differ, and that's where obviously the marketing would differ slightly, in that the two messages would differ.
Yeah, cool. Because it's not something that people think about. They often come off the back of a training course and they're thinking, what do I do now? What do you mean I have to run a business? That clients aren't going to flock to me?
Yeah.
You know, and it's something that I wasn't taught. I was aware of it. I wasn't aware of it as to the level that I should have been aware of it. But it's something that wasn't taught when I trained to become a personal trainer. They kind of just flew you through the course. Here's the basics. Didn't really learn anything, to be honest. And that's why we've formed Redefining Fitness, to add all of these things in. So we really go heavy on this side of things, teaching people about profit and loss, income statements, cash flow, through to the 4 P's of marketing, the 5 M's of advertising. All of that sort of stuff is hugely important. And just having that clarity on how you're going to go and get your clients, who your clients are, why are they your clients? And just going back to marketing for niches, something that keeps coming up in conversation, and I'll keep bringing it back because it's relevant, is niching is very important, or specializing, but the marketing also has to be specialized to fit that, as we know. But where we sometimes get it wrong as trainers is we pick a specialization, market it, promote ourselves as this person, but the reality is we're not a specialist. And we can have all the marketing in the world, but if we just pick something that's our favorite topic and called it a specialism, it can sometimes backfire on us, because there'll be a lack of congruence between what our marketing says and what we actually deliver. So I think, going back to your point of authenticity earlier, that just feeds back in again. And authenticity is the key to marketing, because you have to market and advertise who you are, as opposed to something that's a million miles away from what you can actually deliver.
Definitely. No, definitely. You know, I think, definitely, you can only, marketing's only going to work to a certain point. You've got to have that product and the authenticity that what you're offering is different and valuable to the customer. And then, you know, I think that also then makes marketing's life a lot easier too.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you think that people can get that authenticity across? Because it is difficult. Sometimes people are nervous on camera. They don't know what they're saying. They might not use their voice very well. They might be a bit self-conscious. All of these things are perfectly common. They're normal. But how can somebody change or improve the way that they put themselves across? More from a PR perspective, I guess.
I think that maybe not worrying about things to be that they need to be absolutely perfect. You know, I think we worry a lot when we're doing something for the first time that's got to be perfect. And I think, you know, yeah, you know, it doesn't need to be perfect. You know, you know, just making a start is always the key thing. You know, yeah, the first one of anything you're going to do, you're going to look back at it in a year's time and think, oh no, you know, what was I doing there or something? You know, it's always going to improve, and you're going to adapt and evolve. So I think just in the first instance, giving it a go. And I think preparation is key. You know, if you're going to be on a video, you know, making sure you're, you know, you know what you're going to be talking about roughly. You know, you're giving yourself the best possible chance. You know, if you need a little bit of a script, give yourself a little bit of a script. You know, yeah, whatever your sort of your maybe anxieties are on something, then just to try and you know, mitigate them as much as possible in just by being as prepared as possible. And I think that's key. And I think in terms of you know, the PR side of that, yeah, I think again being prepared, but I think you know, being true to yourself. So whatever you are, be that, you know, don't try and, like I said, I think earlier, you know, just don't try and imitate anything to kind of fit in. You know, I suppose it's about being, you know, sensible but being bold. You know, getting that across. And then I think in terms of a PR hook, you know, always just think that there's got to be a hook. You know, I think, you know, even if you're doing like a you know, press release or something, you know, I think you've got to think of that headline. You've got to think, and you know, that goes for a lot of marketing. You know, think of that headline, think of that pyramid, you know, top to bottom, and you've got to draw them. You've got to draw someone in on the early stages. And that, you know, that is about you know, think about what they might be interested in, and think about what's unique to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the personal training side of things, we're not saying that people shouldn't post videos of exercises. We do want to see that if that's value. We're not saying don't post selfies.
Yeah.
If it's progress and you're generally really happy with your progress, that's fine once in a while. But where I think the theme of everything that we've said, it comes back to knowing what the message is that we're trying to send out, because sometimes it's a little bit haphazard with the way that people post.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily realize the knock-on effect that it has. And this also applies to people who are applying for jobs that are employed in the fitness industry.
Yeah.
Recruiters, employers, whoever it is, hiring managers will look at your social media.
Yeah.
So the way we come across in there needs to be authentic. It needs to show who we are.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things we look for when we recruit. One of the things we send out in pre-screening is send us any relevant social media tags, because that tells me a lot about that person well before I've even spoken to them.
Yeah.
And it allows me to maybe filter my questions a little bit to personalize an interview, because there's certain things I want to know more about and things I might have already seen that have been answered.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that they're always being watched. People always see what's on there. Yeah. It's very hard to take things down off the internet when you get it wrong, as we know.
Yeah.
And with reviews as well, like bad reviews can do a lot of damage to a business.
Yeah.
And I know some of the reviews, as we've talked about before, are very, very important. So how do you think reviews fit into what we've discussed? And where's the best place to put them? Because there's so many review platforms now, it's a bit of a minefield.
Yeah, there are lots, and there are lots that can help with SEO, but then they're expensive, and but I think yeah, reviews are very, very important element of any business, because like you said, when you're doing your research on anybody, it gives you a better story of who they're going to be. And you know, if you're seeing some great reviews, then you're going to think, oh, okay, you know, this person knows what they're doing. But I think again, it's keep them authentic. You know, keep them simple. You know, just showcase them if you've got the website. Showcase them on your website. Put them on social media. You know, and then potentially build case studies around that too. I think, I think case studies can be kind of a sideline thing, but actually case studies are hugely important, because again, it gives someone that trust element, and that you are what you say you are, and you're able to deliver. There is no better selling point than showing what you've done. So before after pictures are a great way. But I think, yeah, and on cases you can kind of filter out again anyone that you might not want, because I think before and after pictures are always great, but they can also lead to false expectations. There's a lot of hard work that goes into those as well. So yes, I think reviews are absolutely fundamental. And I think that's where you can have a Google page for your business if you want. They're very sort of straightforward set up, and that can give people a good platform to leave reviews. That's something you can offer as talk about your fundamentals of kind of attracting your leads, website, social media, and then you can follow them up with an email to say, hope you enjoyed it. If you can leave me a review, then that's a good way of selling. But yeah, for sure, I think reviews are valuable, and yeah, I think in terms of that's also one of those things where you've also got to always think about your approach, because reviews are very public. They're very, and yeah, like you said, you can't, once they're up, if you within reason, obviously. But if someone's posted on Google a review, you're gonna have to have a really good reason why you wouldn't want that to be posted. So I think it's just about that whole spotlight thing is always on, and I think think about that with reviews too, because one bad review on your Google, or one bad review anywhere that's visible to people, you're gonna have to work pretty hard to fight back to sort of say, well, this was the reason, whatever it was. But at the same time, good reviews are the best way of then someone going, oh, blimey, this person looks good, I want to use them.
Yeah. And this wasn't something that I thought about when we set up this call, but it's something that's just popped into my head. How would you encourage somebody to deal with a bad review? So if somebody did slate them or troll them, for lack of a better term, what's the best approach to minimize any further damage and maybe salvage some of your reputation?
I think the first instance is depending on the severity of it. Is take a deep breath, stop. Don't. I think sometimes our reaction can be, if someone's sort of our businesses are our babies in a sense. If someone's kind of bad mouthing or whatever reason it might be, that can instantly, you can throw that knee-jerk reaction to get online and start writing a message back or something, whatever. I don't know, but just to have a breather, have a think about it, have a think about how you want to reply, maybe even write a message on Word and delete it. It might make you feel a bit better, because I think you just, because then it's going to help you with a measured response. There was a really good example, actually. It wasn't to do with personal training, but there was a restaurant in Manchester, and it was a really successful restaurant, and this owner had a hen party come in, and they were sort of a bit lively, and they wrote a message to complain about the service they'd had, and the owner came on and said, it was really, really offensive, and writes really horrible things. The press picked it up. Next thing you know, the guy's out of business, the restaurant's closed down, and I think that shows the impact sometimes of reviews, and the severity of some of this thing is that he would have never in his wildest dreams thought that would have then led to that and being boycotted. But if he'd maybe stopped and thought, right, okay, what I'm going to say, when you and your husband or wife, whatever, are married, come in, have a free meal on the house, sorry for any inconvenience caused. And that can be sometimes a better way of dealing with a review if there is a bad one. And I think in terms of trolling, I think if there is any trolling, then I think that's somewhere, again, needs to be stamped out. So if you feel it's unfair and it's not right, you can report it. And there is always a legal, you can always get legal advice on that too. And it is serious, and if it's harming your business, I think seeking legal help on some stuff can be valuable too.
Yeah. Awesome. I think that'll feed into our next topic. We've got a guy who specializes in reviews coming on the next one. So it's a nice way to kind of wrap that up.
Yeah.
But that's good. Okay, so any 3 key takeaways that we can extract from today's talk? So what would they be?
Yes, I think laying the foundations and knowing your audience, work out who your audience is, and then work out how you're going to attract that audience. So are you going to build a website, or are you going to get someone to build a website for you? You know, how are you going to do, you know, what are you going to do around that with your social media, linking that to your website? So getting the foundations again with your audience, your website, being authentic. Don't try and, you know, be something that, you know, that someone else is doing. You know, be yourself, showcase that. And then I think, yeah, sort of attract and delight, I guess. Try and delight your audience, you know, showcase what it'd be like to work with you, with the reviews, and you know, and a nice positive light, I guess. And I think on all of those is that, you know, as I mentioned, you know, Canva, Wix, Squarespace, you know, Hootsuite, TweetDeck, there's, you know, a promo video. There are so many different tools out there to help you get off the ground for no cost and get going, to at least have some presence. And I'd say that's the key, is to start with some presence and build on it.
Yeah, and I believe you're going to be running a webinar soon on a lot of these things. Yeah. So where can we expect to maybe find that when it's done, and what's going to be covered in there?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we've got a webinar that's going to be focused around everything that we've kind of covered on the topics today, so we can go into some bits in a little bit more detail, and hopefully kind of give some more tips as well. We're going to be recording that, and then we can share on your channel, Christian, or we'll share on our own channel as well, and you know, we can promote that out there. But as I said earlier, my name is Ollie from SWW Marketing, and you know, if ever you've got any questions or anything, then, you know, always feel free to get in touch with myself or the team. Yeah.
So what's the best way for them to do that? Is there an email address or website where we'll contact you?
Yeah, www.swwmarketing.com, and my email is oliver@swwmarketing.co.uk. We're also on all the social media channels, so you can search SWW Marketing for that. Send us a message, you know, always happy to help.
Awesome. Cool. Well, sounds good. I think we should wrap it up there. We've covered everything quite well. And it's been really good to talk to you. Got some insight. It's been good to go through things in my head a little bit as well. Yeah. I'm sure everyone watching this has taken some value from it, so that's always a bonus. Yeah, thanks again for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Christian.
No worries. Cheers. I'll see you next time.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.